Good morning to my amplified unit. WrestleMania 35 is over. That means it's time for the good, the bad, and the ugly. And for you new subscribers, what that means is we're going to go through every single match. Except for the pre-show, unless there's a tiebreaker from the main show. But every single match on that main show, we are going to give a tally, either in the good, the bad, and the ugly, depending on where it belongs. And at the end of the video, when we've covered every single match, we're going to get the final count on all of the tallies and determine if this was a good or bad pay-per-view. Now here's the catch. Every single ugly counts for 2 bads in the final tally. So you want to stay away from uglies, because that has a huge effect on determining if this pay-per-view, WrestleMania 35, was good or bad. So that's the rules. Before I get to the actual matches, guys, I want to go over some breaking news / notes from last night. First and foremost, Ronda Rousey, from what we are being told, has suffered a broken hand. So whether taking time off originally or not, it looks like she definitely is now. She has a broken hand from what we're being told. She might still show up on Raw tonight, knowing Vince McMahon, knowing Rousey, the warrior that she is. But the combat is most likely going to be limited to none, and then she is going to be sent packing. In fact, I doubt there's going to be much contact at all. I don't think she's medically cleared. If it is a broken hand, medical staff for WWE is pretty strict on what they'll allow you to do. So again, as of right now, Ronda Rousey has suffered a broken hand, so she is definitely gone for a while, whether she was planning to or not. A side note to Ronda Rousey, that was the planned finish, not a botch last night, as far as the actual move to end the match. The botch, or what could have been a botch, from what we are being told, is Ronda Rousey's shoulders were not supposed to leave the mat. So she wasn't actually supposed to have her shoulders off the mat, but she did. The referee obviously kept his count going, and that's where the confusion stemmed from. Ronda Rousey, I think, caught herself and knew that she botched maybe fucked up, and that's why she was looking at the ref. The ref was like, no, just continue on. And that's why it looked pretty sloppy at the end. But from what we were being told, there was internal talks about Ronda Rousey tapping out, but at the 11th hour, they decided to scrap that and have it be a roll-up type victory off of Rousey's finisher. So that's the deal. Was Rousey supposed to have her shoulders up? If so, I'm down with that, because that leads to the continuation with Becky Lynch for when Ronda comes back. So that would make a cool storyline. I never actually got pinned by you. However, on the flip side, if this was a botch by Ronda, then that definitely diminished Becky Lynch's big moment. But we're told the move itself was not a botch. However, Ronda was not supposed to have her shoulders up. That's what we're being told. I hope we find out differently, because Ronda having the shoulders up did tell a good story. Either way, it led to confusion, and for many people, a little too confusing, so I can see both sides. But that was the planned finish as far as maneuver. Also, guys, Batista officially retired after his match. He took to social media and he said, and I quote, "At WWE Universe, thank you for letting me entertain you. I love this business, and whether you cheered me or jeered me, I'm grateful for being a small part of your life. I am officially retired from sports entertainment, and I am grateful for every second of my journey. No, big man, thank you for entertaining us." Batista, man, his work will not be forgotten. He was definitely one of those bigger-than-life characters I talk about. Larger-than-life, that can be debated. If I'm a kid watching this product, Batista was larger than life. But he was definitely bigger than life, man, and he absolutely showcased what a superstar should be. When you label somebody a character name, it better identify with them completely. When you called Batista an animal, that's what Batista was. You saw that again in his entrance last night. You just knew he was going to trip and fall, but it works with him because he's so ballistic and off the wall and he gives you every ounce of his energy that he's the type of person that would fall, do a crab, which is what we used to do in football practice, so he never actually fell. He landed on his hands and did a little bit of a crab, bounce up smiling, and still go ballistic. That's Batista, and those are the characters I'm going to miss. Thanks again, big man, for entertaining us. You ain't got to be thanking us. Also, guys, Mustafa Ali was injured last night when Strowman kicked Luke Harper in the face while Harper was trying to suplex Mustafa Ali out of the ring in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. While that was happening, obviously Strowman kicked Luke Harper, so both Luke Harper and Mustafa Ali were eliminated. But when Ali went out, it was with so much force, his face smashed, catapulted into the corner of the commentary booth. It looked brutal at first. Turns out it was pretty brutal. WWE medical staff attended to Mustafa Ali for several minutes afterwards. Mustafa did take to social media afterwards and he said, "I'm alive and indestructible." So we don't know if that is going to be an injury that keeps him out for a while, because he didn't say. He just said, "I'm alive and indestructible," meaning he'll be back. But we don't know when he'll be back. That looked like a pretty brutal face shot. So that's the breaking news we have now. Mind you guys, we're just a few hours removed from the event. I mean, this thing ended at fucking what seems 5 a.m. Joking a little bit, just a tad. On to the actual match, guys, because we do have a lot of matches to go over. And again, if this ends in a tiebreaker, we have to then go to the pre-show matches and determine through those matches if this was a good pay-per-view or a bad pay-per-view. So let's start the tally process. What do you say? And we'll start right from the top with a Universal Championship match. I shit you not. Now, before this match even started, Alexa Bliss kicked off WrestleMania. And by the way, can I just say, with the flyover from the 4 helicopters just hovering over MetLife, man, you're there in that stadium looking up. Man, that is a goosebumps moment, let me tell you firsthand. That was awesome. And then they fly off. Alexa Bliss comes out, says, as host, she can make any WrestleMania moment happen at the snap of her finger. She says, "Don't believe me?" Snaps her finger, and here comes the immortal Hulk Hogan, man. Now, if you've been watching this business since you were a little tyke, that's a big moment, especially WrestleMania, who has so many fans from so many different countries showing up, and Hulk Hogan is such an immortalized name. Hogan starts off the show. It had traces of WrestleMania 30 when Hogan kicked off WrestleMania 30, and that WrestleMania ended up being fucking dynamite. Now, of course, Stone Cold and The Rock joined Hogan that year in New Orleans for WrestleMania 30. That didn't happen at 35, but it was still good to see Hulk Hogan kicking off the show. And he has some fun with the botch that he had at WrestleMania 30 when he called the Superdome the Silver Dome from his WrestleMania 3 match with Andre the Giant. But even though he was trying to poke fun at himself, he then made another botch immediately after. And he said, "I'm just joking. It's great to be back here at MetLife Center." So instead of MetLife Stadium, he called it the MetLife Center. I don't think that was supposed to be, but if I'm Hogan, I'm on social media this morning saying, "Just having more fun with you guys." That was a rib, but it looked like he actually botched MetLife Stadium, man. At this point, just put Hulk Hogan and R-Truth in the middle of the ring, give him a 10-minute promo with no notes, no bullet points. Just let them spew shit, and I'm sure it's going to be hilarious. But that was all just to start the show, guys. Then Paul Heyman storms past Alexa Bliss and Hulk Hogan, storms to the ring, gets on the mic, and he's not in a good mood. And he says, "No, no, 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 no. If my client is not the main event, the headliner, the last match, then he demands to go on first so he can get the hell out of here and onto Las Vegas. And on to more ultimate things," meaning the UFC, obviously. So he demands that the Universal Strap match is right then and there. And I love this placement because you still have Kofi and Bryan to come. You still have the actual main event, which is the Triple Threat Ladies match for both titles. So why not do one of the big matches right off the bat, and the story tells itself beautifully. Brock is the type of person to demand to get the hell out of there as soon as possible if he's not going to headline. Realistic. Loved it. This sent out Brock Lesnar, and then immediately after Seth Rollins. I love Rollins' entrance, man. He had there was this huge screen. I call it the ultimate Titantron. And you had this blade coming through Brock Lesnar's logo. It was badass, man. Burn it down. Here comes Rollins. But Rollins never got out of the gate. In fact, the bell never rang. For a good 5 to 10 minutes, Brock Lesnar proceeded to beat the living shit out of Seth Rollins. And let me tell you, Rollins could not get a breath in when Brock was beating the hell out of him. Brock threw him from pillar to post, through tables, literally through tables, over tables, into tables. It was a brutal beating, guys. You look at Seth Rollins' back. Halfway through the beating, it was welted, it was beaten, it was bleeding. It was severe. It was probably one of the most severe beatings pre-match that I've seen in a long time. The match finally, the bell ended up ringing, and it was much more of the same. It was a beating on Seth Rollins. In fact, Rollins was then sent to Suplex City, bitch. And there was a moment where Seth was able to get the upper hand. And I love this storytelling because all you need is the upper hand against Brock. And Brock has been shown to kind of get weakened once you start a beating on him. So Seth knows that, story-wise. He's able to get the upper hand by any means necessary, dastardly deeds included. The ref kind of gets knocked down for like 5 seconds out of the ring, and that's all Seth needed for a low blow. From there, it was 3 stomps in a row. 1, Brock kind of gets up. 2, Brock's still getting up. 3, Brock's knocked down and out. Seth Rollins gets on for the cover. 1, 2, and new Universal Champion, and his name is Seth Rollins. This just, man, I like this a lot. Again, because of the placement, because the storyline that was told, Brock wants to get the hell out of there. And now looking back on it in retrospect, and I'm sure Paul Heyman will use this in storylines, maybe it was not the best idea to go on first. And Paul Heyman is probably going to use that as an excuse. We're used to going on last. We're used to being the main event. This is injustice. And for Rollins, he took one hell of a beating, was able to get the upper hand, and never looked back. He did the right things necessary to get the job done. I would have liked to see Brock Lesnar beaten down a little more. He is supposed to be a beast. A few moves should not be beating him, but it is three of Seth Rollins' finishers. The stomp is a devastating finisher. So when it's all said and done, I'm fully on board with this. And again, the title is finally off of Brock Lesnar's waist, shoulder, or Paul Heyman's. I don't think Brock ever went home with it. He didn't care. But it's finally off of him, and now it's on somebody who's going to show up every week. And this is absolutely going into the good, guys. So we have one in the good column already, and that's just the first match. So we're off to a good start anyway. Alexa Bliss bringing out Hulkamania. Paul Heyman ruining the celebration, demanding Brock has his match. Rollins ends up overcoming all odds in that match, beaten down, his back destroyed. Who knows what else this morning is fucked up. Seth Rollins will probably tell you everything, but he's able to overcome it. In the very first match, we have a new Universal Champion, Brock Lesnar, defeated. The same guy that ended The Undertaker's streak, the same guy that beat Roman Reigns when everybody thought Roman was going to win. Just an amazing WrestleMania win-loss column for Brock Lesnar in a who's who of names. And for him to lose at Mania and Rollins to be the winner in this, man, if I did have a great column, that maybe would go in there. We moved on, guys. I mean, there's a lot of matches. We got to continue on. I could spend another 20 minutes on that match, but there's more to come. But wait, there's more. Remember that? AJ Styles took on Randy Orton last night. Now this match, guys, can I just say, Jerry Lawler was on commentary for this one. He was introduced down on commentary. I'm sure he did a damn good job. And it's always good to see the legends have some airtime and especially get on the mic and call a match. It was really cool that they gave Jerry Lawler that moment. And that was just one of many moments for the legends last night. So that was a really epic part of the show that they made the superstars from the past a big part of the show. The match itself, Styles versus Orton, this match was not overbooked. It was simplistic and damn good in my book. I enjoyed it. At one point, Orton hit an RKO and Styles kicked out of it. Now, I'm okay with this because we haven't seen a lot of individuals ever, if ever, kick out of the RKO. So that was a really big moment. At first, you're thinking that's one of, if not the most devastating move in pro wrestling. The RKO knocks people flat and out. You don't want to see people kicking out, but when you think about it, not a lot of people do or have. So I was okay with that. That was Styles, storyline-wise, saying I'm on the biggest stage of them all. I do belong here. I am one of the best, and it's going to take more than that, Jack. So I'm okay with that. This made Orton tap into a whole new level of Apex Predator. He had this look on his face like, what do I gotta do now? I'm gonna take it to the next level. When's the last time somebody kicked out of my finisher, the RKO? I have to bump this up a notch. So Randy Orton takes AJ Styles to the top rope. We're about to see an RKO from the top rope, guys. Which would have been absolutely dynamite. But instead, Styles was able to counter and hit a couple of phenomenal forearms. One of them was to the outside, so Orton was on the outside. We see a phenomenal forearm, AJ inside the ring all the way to the outside ring, throws him inside the ring, and then he continues with a second phenomenal forearm. This one does the deed. 1, 2, 3, and AJ Styles ends up winning this match. It was rather a simplistic ending to me, even with the phenomenal forearms, 2 of them, because I feel Randy Orton, man, especially at WrestleMania, I think he deserved a little bit more of a way to go out, a way to be defeated. I felt it was way simplistic, and I know a lot of that crowd, most of that crowd was kind of like, wait, what? That was the end? That's the finish? Because that was just a second phenomenal forearm, a simplistic cover-up, and Orton did not kick his shoulder up or kick out of that son of a bitch. But simplistic or not, at least we got a straight, clean victory from a damn good match. There was no clusterfuck, lackluster, weird schmaz ending, which we usually see even at WrestleMania. When Vince can't make up his mind, do we have Styles lose or do we have Orton? No, they made a definitive decision. They went out there and they had a definitive victory. Definitive winner, definitive loser. Simplistic or not, that's the shit I used to love growing up, still love to this day, but loved growing up as a child into my teenage years where I sit right now. Give me the ultimate culmination, the ultimate ending to a storyline at WrestleMania. That's all we ever asked for. Definitive winners and losers. And again, from the get-go, I said this was a damn good match. And I wouldn't mind seeing these two in the future. Again. I mean, this screams a damn good match. We haven't seen enough, I don't feel. I think there's more to be told. I wouldn't mind seeing like a Samoa Joe and AJ Styles, maybe 3 matches with these two, a couple more pay-per-views. I'm interested in the storyline, and I'm damn sure interested in the matches that they put on after seeing what we saw last night. And on paper, let's be honest, we knew it was going to be a good match, and guess what? It was. It's going into the good column, guys. 2 matches in, we have 2 in the good. That's a damn good start for WrestleMania 35. Can we keep this shit going? Well, that remains to be seen. We gotta flip the page, flip the script, and now we go on to the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Now we go into Schmazville. I'm gonna be honest here, I can't believe I'm saying this, but for a schmaz match, I was thoroughly entertained by this match. The last minute of this match was a sequence of super kicks, and I assure you, every single kick, every single one, guys, was taking heads off of wrestlers' shoulders. That's how badass these super kicks were. Go back and watch the last minute. Every single kick sounded and looked, and I'm sure felt riveting, badass, electric, an awesome last-minute super kick sequence. Absolutely loved it, guys. Usos grabbed the W over Sheamus to retain the championships. You know I'm down with that because the Usos are the greatest tag team right now in pro wrestling. And that's saying something because they've been around for a while. That's saying something because you have teams like the Young Bucks outside of WWE. You have Sheamus and Cesaro together as The Bar. And I can honestly say the Usos are hitting at all strides and levels in their game and all cylinders right now. They're hitting on all of them. The Usos, nobody is coming close to them. It's like they found something new within themselves and they're rolling with that. On the mic, they're the best right now. In the ring, they're the best. So them holding those tag straps, that's badass, my friends, because they are just so great right now. Again, I don't have a great column. We're putting this right into, not that that would go into the great column anyway, because it was still a schmaz match, but they delivered, and guys, that's going into the good column. What the fuck is going on? Who tied up Vinnie Mac? What happened to Vinnie Mac? Was he a gorilla last night? Because we're 3 matches into this sumbitch, and we got 3 goods. This pay-per-view is going off without a hit. Surely they cannot keep this momentum going into the 4th match, right? Let's find out. First and foremost, this was the Hall of Fame inductions. This was so good to see for so many reasons. I mean, first and foremost, seeing all of the characters out there that I grew up with, I'll take that any day of the week, twice on Sunday. Please, sir, can I have some more? I absolutely love that, guys. Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Honky Tonk Man. You got fucking Harlem Heat out there, Tori Wilson. I just love seeing the legends. I love being able to pay respect to the ones that I looked up to growing up, and even to this day, the ones that entertain me. I love being able to pay that ultimate homage and respect, so that's so cool. I love this part of WrestleMania where they introduce everybody out to the stage and we get to show them our respect. Triple H said on Saturday night at the ceremony, "How many of you got suspended from school or arrested because you watched us?" I literally raised my hand because I was suspended from school multiple times because of D-Generation X and Stone Cold Steve Austin. I was arrested a few times because of DX's antics and Stone Cold and maybe trying to emulate them when I maybe had a few too many cold beverages. That's another story for another day. But seeing all of them out there, including DX, having a ball, throwing their glow sticks, man, it was just absolutely epic. But the biggest part of this that I love the most was seeing Bret the Hitman Hart and Natalya out there standing tall. What happened Saturday night? That is nothingness. We won't even show you the time of day. We're out there. The show must go on. We're standing taller than ever. We're looking better than ever. Our smiles are brighter than ever, man. That was so awesome to see. That is exactly what the Amplified Man needed to see to make sure everything was okay. Because the vigilante in me, the pissed off amplified nature in me, man, I was still pissed off from Saturday night from the Hall of Fame. But seeing Bret and Natalya okay and rocking, standing tall, man, that was so awesome to see. Guys, that's getting a fucking, that's not even a match, but you know what? That is a damn good. Because I don't have an awesome column. That would have gone into the awesome. So we already got 4 because that is awesome that they gave them that. And they gave them some time. It wasn't just they called him out and that was just it and then he moved on. They gave him some time, man. DX was running around like nuts. We got multiple shots of Natalya and Bret. And the camera panned down to every legend and Hall of Famer multiple times. Loved it, guys. All right, now we'll get into the 4th match. I had to spend time on that because that was so cool to see. The 4th match, what do you say about this? This is The Miz versus Shane McMahon. We're going Falls Count anywhere. You might as well say no holds barred, but they couldn't call it that because you still had Triple H and Batista later in the night. But this match, guys, they went above and beyond expectations, I'm sure. Shane destroyed Miz early on. Absolutely destroyed him. Miz was busted open at one point on the commentary table because Miz was going to do his jump onto Miz on the table. He literally leveled Miz with one of the, I used to call them the Teletrons, the big fucking TV Trons. And Shane McMahon was on the top rope about to do his dive, George, Miz's father, got into the ring and stopped him. And Shane McMahon is like, get him out of here. And he's like, I'm not going to touch you. And he goes to walk away, and it's like, psych. And instead, Shane just starts wailing on George, Miz's father, man. Beats him down, stomping on him. This awakes Miz on the commentary booth, even though he's bloodied from behind his head. He runs in there. Now he's alive and well. Miz is pissed, beating the hell out of Shane. They end up going into the crowd. I'm talking into the crowd. So many different sections got to see Miz and Shane McMahon up close. This was on, obviously, the other side from where I was, but it's all good. We were seeing on the big trons. And this is where Shane continued a beatdown, but no, I think it was Miz actually had the upper hand for the most part through that, because there was one point they actually went up to the scaffolding where the cameras are, the main cameras, the hard camera, and it was like a TV, that's what it was. They actually went through commentary row, all of the other countries' commentary booths and all of their commentators. They actually went through that, destroying the tables and the commentariers. How do you say that? The commentators? I can speak. It's a long review, guys. Stick with me. So they actually destroyed everything in their path. They get to the scaffolding where the hard camera is. It was like the second tier, I believe. And the Miz had one of those fucking television sets, whatever you want to call it, looked like a laptop, whatever they are. Smashed Shane McMahon in the face. Shane dove over the scaffold, landed onto a mini cart, like a golf cart, flew off of that. So he went 2 stories down to the concrete floor. That was crazy looking from the screen that we were watching on. Now what do we got? There was that was the international commentary section. Miz and Shane over the sections onto the golf cart, then up to the top of the camera scaffolding, guys. I'm talking the actual top of this, and this is where you're thinking, oh boy, we know what Shane McMahon does. This is not gonna end well. Let's just hope everybody is safe after this thing is over. Because that's exactly what happened. At the top of the scaffolding, Miz suplexed Shane from over 15 feet high onto a platform down below. Now, this is what we call in the business a dummy platform, obviously. This had a lot of air underneath. You saw the smoke rise. That means it was an air platform. We call them, again, dummy platforms. So, obviously, that's cool, man. You got some people going, oh, man, it was an air mattress or something. That's cool. What the fuck do you expect? You want him to land through shit that's going to kill him? Relax. It's pro wrestling. It's for our entertainment. The illusion, the move, the badassery was top notch. Just because they didn't land on concrete and you're a fucking idiot, I tell you, that shit pisses me off. It was an air mattress. Man, I want to see you go and perform that stunt. That's got to be nerve-wracking and crazy for them to do that, especially Miz. He's not known as a daredevil, but he put his... That's putting your life on the line still. It's called a stunt. People have lost their lives in the stunt business, I can assure you. Miz suplexed Shane over 15 feet high onto this platform, but Shane McMahon's arm ended up being over Miz's, even though they were both knocked out. Referee had to count. It's false count anywhere. 1, 2, 3. Shane McMahon defeats the Miz, even though it was the Miz that suplexed Shane McMahon. But that shows you, storyline-wise, how far the Miz was able and willing to go to destroy Shane McMahon for putting his hands on his father, George. And in the end, his obsession with eliminating Shane McMahon got the best of him. Shane was able to take the victory. Nobody walked out of that son of a bitch. So I don't know if you can say there was a winner at all. The match in itself, obviously, come on. Did anybody watch that match? That's obviously in the good guys, and that's a full pack. That is 5. 4 matches into this, we have 5 in the good column, guys. Again, there was a 5th because of the Hall of Fame respect that they showed all the legends that they usually do, but this one was extra special. So that is a full 5-pack tally. 4 matches into this son of a bitch. I cannot believe this is happening. Again, at this point, I'm thinking Vince McMahon is not at MetLife. He's not in New York, New Jersey. This can't be happening. Surely, into the 5th match, it won't be happening, right? Or will it be? Let's turn the page and find out. All right, so next up, guys, Schmaz Mania continues, right? This is the women's tag team title fatal four-way match. Sasha and Bayley taking on Nia and Tamina, taking on the Iconics, taking on Beth and Natalya. Now, right from the beginning, they pulled on my heartstrings. They brought out Bret Hart yet again. Bret Hart comes out this time, second time in the night. This time he comes out in his leather jacket with that grin on his face, looking like nothing fazed him from this weekend. And he's got that grin, and he's giving Beth and Natalya words of encouragement for their match. Go get them. Get those titles. It was so good to see Bret Hart out there twice last night, man. Big part of the show. Oh, man, I can't express to you enough how happy I was to see that. I needed to see that. I really did. Man, that was so fucking good to see. I really can't express enough, guys. For a schmaz, the performers went out there and performed the best they could, I felt. The wrestlers went out there and wrestled a damn decent match. Just decent. Let's not get carried away. It was still a schmaz. There was still a lot of moving parts. And too much sloppiness for what I like. But with all of, 8 females in there, not as sloppy as it could have been. I have to be honest, not as sloppy as I thought it was going to be. Beth Phoenix has not been back for long. This is her first real big match back. The Iconics aren't known to be great wrestlers. That's not shade to them. That's just, they're not. They're known as the other areas of the complete package. They're entertainers. They annoy the shit out of you. They're good on the mic, whether you like it or not, because they don't flub. They stick to what they're about to say. They work off of each other, which is dynamite in a tag team. They always know what the other is about to say, what the other is thinking. So, whether you like it or not, when it comes to sports entertainment, the Iconics absolutely do have a place here. But again, they're not known as great wrestlers, so they're in this match. Tamina and Nia obviously are not known to be great wrestlers. So you honestly thought on paper, this is a train wreck waiting to happen, ready to happen. And I would not call it a train wreck after last night. I really wouldn't. There were sloppy moments, absolutely. But I'll actually go on record and say they all put it on the line, and it was decent. At one point, Bayley dropped the flying elbow, and Sasha hit the frog splash immediately after in a dynamite sequence that failed to get the pin. Now, that was cool in itself, but what happened afterwards was great. Sasha's look on her face, and this is why I call Sasha Banks one of the best in the business, because it's not just the fact that she's a great wrestler, it's the fact that her mannerisms and her expressions always match what's going on in the story of the match. I hope that makes sense for you real knowledgeable, diehard true pro wrestling fans for years and years now. You know what I'm talking about. Those mannerisms and expressions help tell the story in that ring. And Sasha Banks, when she hit that frog splash and couldn't get the pin, she looked over at Bayley, who was in the corner also like she just did everything that she could imaginably do, and it didn't get the job done. Sasha's looking at Bayley, and she just had this... It was this look of sheer desperation. That's the best way to put it. Sasha was looking at Bayley in sheer desperation. Like, what else do we have to do? And Bayley was looking back at Sasha with sheer disappointment in her face. So they both had like desperation and disappointment. Like, what else do we have to do? That was the flying elbow and the frog splash. Bayley's paying homage to Macho Man. Sasha's paying homage to Eddie Guerrero. They both hit it beautifully, and they couldn't get the job done. I just love that storytelling within the match. Later on, Beth hits her finisher on Bayley from the second rope. Badass. But what a lot of people didn't see, I believe this was Billie Kay, correct? Billie Kay tagged herself in right before Beth Phoenix hit that move from the second rope. So Peyton Royce then comes in, breaks the count up, throws Beth out of the ring. Billie Kay makes the cover over Bayley, and the Iconics win the championship, guys. The tag straps. We were confused. We were shocked. Might not be the popular choice, especially as a mega Sasha mark like I am, and someone who loves Beth Phoenix. But I liked I liked the complete package of the match. And I've said for weeks now that the Iconics were growing on me. Well, kids, now's your shot. The spotlight is on you. The straps are around you. Bring your best and best of luck. Now's your chance, Iconics. You have a lot of naysayers. You got a lot of people that don't like you. Now's the time to take it to that next level if you have it in you. If you don't, you're going to be exposed real quickly. Like a lot of people already think you are. And even I say you're not the best of wrestlers, but that's okay. You don't necessarily need to be known that. You're in a division that has a lot of great wrestlers. What else can you bring to the table? As long as you can go, you have the other aspects in sports entertainment. Can you entertain us? And can you at least go in the ring? I think they can at least do that. I need to see a level more from the Iconics, or I can never fully back them. This is the time. I understand why Vince gave them those tag straps. When you think of actual tag teams for the women, it is either Nia and Tamina or the Iconics. Both of them we can easily say, really? But the Iconics got the straps. That's where the owner of the business wants to go, owner of the company. And that's where he went, man. The complete package of this, I'm okay with. The Iconics have been growing on me. This was a huge moment for them. Now it's time to see what they actually have. So it's a blessing in disguise. Now we can finally see if they have that extra level or if we can expose them once and for all. And on the flip side, can we finally get Sasha away from Bayley and vice versa and let them go on their own? They deserve to be going for single straps, especially now that there's one female holding both straps. Don't unify them, because that's only going to put more females in obscurity for even longer, if that's possible. Leave the two belts separate, and let's have Sasha start going for that individually. And Bayley, I'm cool with that. But let's end this 2-year tag team that they've been in. Or what we're now on, a 2-year tag team. So this could be a double blessing here, guys. But I know a lot of people are irate. Not the Amplified, man. I understand it's not the finish people wanted, but for many reasons, I'm okay with this. This is actually keeping the streak alive. I've never seen this before, I don't believe, right? I don't think we've ever had 6 straight goods, nothing in the bad, nothing in the ugly yet. We're 5 matches into this, and again, an extra tally for the Hall of Fame ceremony. Yeah, I don't even, let's just move on. I don't need to spend more time on that Shimaz match. Let's just be fucking happy and glad that I actually gave that a good, because nobody expected that. Next up, oh man, Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. There's nothing I need to review here. This match captivated me from beginning to end, and I went through every emotion known to humankind. The match is everything I love about pro wrestling. Everything I love about professional wrestling, you saw it in that match. And it really happened before that Mania match. It really happened with the whole story. This whole story has been told beautifully, and all we asked for was the culmination, the end final huge mega moment to be at Mania with Kofi Kingston holding up that strap. Kofi Kingston, Trouble in Paradise, Daniel Bryan down and out, 1-2, and new WWE Champion Kofi Kingston. What a moment. His family's in there. They're celebrating. They're debuting the shirts. Even though, by the way, those shirts, WWE Shop dropped those shirts during Mania. So it's kind of, people are saying they spoiled it, but Daniel Bryan actually had shirts made up as well, saying, and still, I believe, champion. So both shirts were made and created. Kofi Kingston actually gets to stay on the line, though. But I don't feel that was a spoil at all. This was such an epic moment, man. Fireworks, family in the ring, New Day's hoisting up Kofi Kingston in a Rocky moment. Pull on those heartstrings, bro. That is professional wrestling at its best when professional wrestling decides to be its best. This is the most beautiful thing about professional wrestling, when it allows itself to be vulnerable and beautiful, baby. And that, my friends, is a good only because I don't have a great column. And for those wondering why I don't, new subscribers and subscribers that I've had from day one, the reason I don't have a great is because in the past several years, Vince McMahon and WWE has not given me a reason to have a great. They put on pay-per-views like this, at least as of now, the way we're going, then maybe I'll put a great in. But in the past several years, you guys can agree with me, there's no reason to have a great. And that's why we have an ugly, because there's been more ugly than great. So that's why. And we talk about, Bret Hart coming down and showing, who was it, Beth Phoenix and Natalya to the ring, and all the legends being up there, and Jerry Lawler being on commentary, and so many other superstars being on commentary. We're also backstage. Alexa told Michael Che and Colin Jost, the host from Saturday Night Live, who got eliminated by Braun Strowman earlier in the night on the pre-show. Alexa Bliss told them that they're in good hands, and Scott Hall and Kevin Nash come up from behind them. Full white coats like they're actual doctors. And Kevin Nash said, Razor Ramon, Scott Hall says, "Hey, yo." And Kevin Nash said something, I couldn't make it out, but it looked like they were going to perform some things that Colin and Michael Che did not want to be performed. Even though that was a ludicrous segment, guys, it was so good to see Scott Hall and Kevin Nash getting some airtime. All of these legends being brought back, it breaks up the show beautifully. And it gives us a chance to see our superstars from yesterday, as we're seeing the superstars from today, compete and go at each other. So it's those little things, man. Honestly, it's those small things that mean so much in these WrestleManias and in this business. So yeah, I don't know how I came from that from the Kofi Kingston match, but Kofi Kingston and getting his moment, this was all of our moment, man, where we got to fucking see something epic happen in pro wrestling actually come to fruition. Again, leads me to believe, where the heck was Vince? How did he okay all of this? Moving on, we had Rey Mysterio taking on Samoa Joe for the United States Championship. Guys, listen, Mysterio was injured and couldn't really go. That's why a lot of people were frustrated. How the hell did this happen so quickly? Justice for Rey. No, guys, he was actually injured earlier. I believe it was on the Monday Night Raw match from last week that he had with Corbin. But he was injured. He couldn't really go. But on top of that, guys, and again, Joe defeated Mysterio in 2 minutes. And again, majorly because he couldn't go. But on top of that, Mysterio's been to the dance anyway. And this was an odd match that should have been placed on SmackDown at best. And that's being generous, because that should have been on the dark match if it was going to be on SmackDown. I don't even want to see that on TV, because we've seen it numerous times. We've already seen these two. We didn't need to see this at WrestleMania, and that's why we don't even need to see this on SmackDown. So the fact that they used this moment, and again, it's because Rey was injured, but the fact that they used this moment to finally make Samoa Joe look like the monster that he should have been made to look like from the beginning, from day one, I'm fully on board. That's why they didn't have an alternate opponent for Samoa Joe when they found out Rey Mysterio was injured, guys. They actually got smart for a moment. They said, let's make this a moment where Samoa Joe looks dominant. Get the clutch. Seconds later, Mysterio's done. Samoa Joe is hoisting up that championship. Love how it was done. It sucks that it was at the expense of Mysterio and an injury, but I love Samoa Joe having such a dominant victory and hoisting up that championship, and finally having, as subpar as it was, as subdued, as lackluster, finally having a WrestleMania moment, I guess you could say. That's in the good. We have 8 in the good. 7 of those were matches. The 8th, obviously, again, the celebration. I can't even fucking believe this is happening, honestly. Guys, I don't go through this beforehand, or at least, I do my notes. I always make sure I'm researched for you guys, and I give you guys the best possible review show with a lot of information, I should say, and knowledge. But I don't have a definitive set list on how this is going to go. Honestly, as I talk about it with you guys, I make my final decision. So I'm stunned that that's actually happening, honestly. Let's move on before I start changing my mind. Okay, now we're going to go into Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. Guys, whether you liked it or not, this was a decent match, if you're being honest with yourself. I know a lot of people just don't like Roman. This was a decent match. There's nothing special. In fact, my mind was still on Kofi and Daniel Bryan in that match, if I'm being completely honest with you. And on top of that, again, guys, there was nothing special in the match. But it was still decent. These two, if given the proper storyline, I think we would care about it more. But was it anything special? Absolutely not. But was it enough to put this into the bad column? No, it just wasn't. And I know a lot of people want me to because they probably don't like Roman, and the end result in this match was Roman pinned Drew with a spear. And while it sucks that it was at the expense of Drew McIntyre, the culmination of stories is what WrestleMania is all about. And there's no story that hits home in terms of all too real more so than Roman Reigns in the battle with his illness. So I totally understand why this was done, why Vince had to go with Roman and with his finisher. I totally understand why it was done. And this puts an exclamation point, guys. Whether you like it or not, this puts the exclamation point on Roman's beating of his illness and returning to what he loves. That whole storyline, this puts the old exclamation point on it. And that's what WrestleMania is all about. I understand a lot of people might not like the finish. Maybe you just didn't like the match too. It wasn't enough for me to put it in an ugly or bad column. It was decent, at least, for what I saw of it. Again, my mind was on Kofi and Daniel Bryan, I'm being honest, but the end result, this is the only way you could have won. The guy just beat cancer. Again! He came back to what he loves. And some people would call record time. He did everything he had to do. He busted his ass. And he took out a guy who's been beating the shit out of him the past several weeks in Drew McIntyre. Whether you like it or not, this is WrestleMania. It is the culmination of stories. That's the exact definition if it was in the dictionary. I assure you. The culmination. The exclamation point of stories. Well, for Roman Reigns, that would have been his. So, yeah. Come on, guys. Let's be honest here. That's obviously going into the good column. And it didn't take too long. It didn't take that much time out of our hand, you know. If you really didn't like Roman or you didn't like the match, you could have went to the concession stand, went to go to the bathroom, make your bologna sandwich, go smoke a cigarette. If you don't smoke cigarettes, go to the gas station and buy a pack and try. I don't know. I'm not suggesting that, by the way. I used to smoke, and I'm so glad that I quit years ago. Very much glad. Now it just sickens me when I see people actually smoking because I'm like, dude, that's not cool anymore. But to each their own, because I did it for years, so what the hell am I talking about? That's how much my mind was on Kofi and Daniel Bryan. My mind wasn't even on Reigns and McIntyre, but the story itself, we don't need to see any more. Okay? We don't need to see Roman and Drew anymore, unless you're going to give them an epic storyline, which I don't see happening. But because it ended the way it did, and Roman gets his big Mania moment coming back from what he came back from, that goes into the good. And we're at 9. 9 good. There's no way this can continue. But we're going to break up the matches, and you're damn right it's going to continue. This is automatically going into the good right now before I even speak about it. And this is a second 5-pack tally now. Elias. We have 2 5-packs in the good column. Guys, I've been doing the good, the bad, and the ugly for a long time, since I've had this channel, really. Basically. I've never seen anything like this. And for this to be on a WrestleMania, this is showing you this Mania was consistent as fuck. I have no bads or uglies yet, and I just put another good in there because of Elias. Elias, they had an awesome package where he's playing every single instrument known to mankind, and then he winds up in the middle of the ring, and he starts playing with the crowd, "Oh, Walk with Elias," on his guitar. I thought that was brilliant. And there was an interruption, all right. And this, for the Amplified man, again, pulls at my heartstrings. This was old school New York Yankee footage. And they actually had, I cannot make this up, man. They actually had the Babe calling his shot. And they played the footage. He had his old school Yankee cap on, his old school pinstripes. He calls his shot. He cracks that son of a bitch. And everyone's like, what is this? This is kind of cool, man. Elias has this look like, what the hell? I've been interrupted millions of times, never like this. And all of a sudden, Thugonomics shows up on the big screen. That huge fucking Megatron. And John Cena's old school Thugonomics entrance theme starts playing. Here comes old school Thugonomics John Cena. And he's from Massachusetts. And he's sporting the Yankee jersey. And he's sporting the Yankee hat backwards. Man, John Cena's coming. It was so cool. Not necessarily just to see John Cena, but it was, whether you love him or not, or love him or hate him, like him or dislike him. It was not just cool to see him, but to see that old school character. And John Cena starts cutting some nasty bars on Elias. And I mean, like, hitting them pretty hard, man. But they're just nasty bars. You got to go back, and I'm not going to repeat them. I know there's probably some kids watching this review show. But he starts cutting some bars on Elias, and then Elias gets pissed off. He takes off his vest, jacket, whatever, and when he goes to turn around, Cena, what he's calling it, he delivers an AA, but right before he delivered it, he said, for tonight, it's an FU, which was what he used to call the AA, the Attitude Adjustment, before they kind of went PG, rating-wise. He used to call it the FU. So for that night, he brought the FU back, and as a throwback, he delivered it to Elias. Such a great segment to break up the match-by-match action. It really was, guys. I'm sure we were all talking about it afterwards. There in the arena, you guys were obviously talking about it on social media, and from what I saw, what I was hearing around me, it was pretty positive, that entire segment. So that was really cool to see. That's why it got an automatic good before we even really started talking about it. So a couple of these goods were not even from the matches. They actually broke up the action really well last night. Absolutely love that type of stuff, man. Batista took on Triple H in a no-holds-barred match up next. Shawn Michaels on commentary. So they keep on bringing out a string of commentators, legends, Hall of Famers from our past that we get to see and hear once more. I love that, man. So Shawn Michaels being on commentary and being able to see him introduced there in MetLife, so cool, man. This Batista and Triple H match, as I told you guys at the beginning of this video, Batista retired immediately after this match. He took to social media and retired, and Batista left it all in the ring, and that's why I had a feeling he was retiring, because he gave it everything he had in there. Triple H did as well. Triple H at times was looking like a cruiserweight in there. He was trying to fly all over the place. This match was brutal, physical, personal, and straight violent. There was one point in this match, Triple H actually yanked with a pair of pliers, I think it was, yanked the nose ring out of Batista's nose. He was actually bleeding from his nose from it. So yeah, we saw pliers, shears, tables, steps, anything you could imagine, chains, sledgehammers. We saw it all in this match. It was brutal, physical, personal, and straight violent. This whole match, it really was. They just beat the shit out of each other. Ric Flair appears at the end of this match. It was so cool to see the nature boy Ric Flair. He slips in an extra sledgehammer for Triple H, and Triple H is able to literally catapult himself from the steps that were in the ring. That's right, there were steps in the ring. That's how crazy this match was. And he catapults himself from the steps, sledgehammer in hand, and this is what I mean about him trying to be a cruiserweight. I'm sure there's going to be an epic shot that WWE's photo team got of Triple H in the air with the sledgehammer cocked back. And he delivers a massive shot to the skull of Batista. Batista's down, and Triple H is over him for a 1-2-3. The no-holds-barred match is over. Triple H is the winner, but they both look like losers to me because they are beaten within an inch of both of their careers, even though Triple H will continue his on. For anybody saying that Triple H could have just let Batista have his last match be a victory, Triple H buried Batista on the way out. Guys, Triple H is going to continue. Triple H is going to have another WrestleMania match in the future at least. He might probably even be at Saudi Arabia. Whenever he needs to be called upon by Vince, he needs to wrestle, maybe fill in for somebody, replacement. He's always there in Gorilla, and he's ready to go. He always stays in shape. So you can't have his career be on the line and then have him lose. So I don't understand your way of thinking there. Triple H had to win there, and I think that's what Batista wanted from the beginning. Batista wasn't going to come back after all this time and then leave again and all just to beat Triple H, so Triple H is... You know what I mean? It goes back to Triple H beating Sting. People were so pissed about that. But you guys have to remember, the story there, everyone has said this by now. Triple H has come out and told the real story. Stephanie, even The Rock. the story was Triple H was supposed to take on The Rock the following year in a tag match, Rock and Ronda Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie. That's what they were setting up for earlier in the night before Triple H took on Sting. So Triple H had to beat Sting because Triple H was going on to this big match the following year. Plans ended up changing because The Rock had to film something. So, I mean, obviously in the end it was all for naught, but there was a plan. Triple H has to continue on, guys. Batista took the loss. I'm definitely okay with that. I'm just going to shut up about it and keep fucking going. That is obviously a good... I'm going to run out of room here, guys. That is an 11th good. I don't know how the fuck this is even happening, but I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to keep fucking going. What a dynamite no-holds-barred match. The crowd there in MetLife, I can tell you firsthand, they were kind of out of it, but from the Kofi match, they were kind of... I mean, a lot of people think that should have been the main event, Kofi, Kingston, Daniel Bryan, because that was the loudest that stadium was the entire night. Everybody was glued and captivated to that match. Just brilliant style, man. Yeah, I mean... A lot of the segments that followed that, they didn't get the response, but that doesn't mean they weren't good. Absolutely not. That no-holds-barred match absolutely delivered. And can I just say, Triple H's entrance, when you're there live for that son of a bitch, was just fucking captivating. I saw a video afterwards as well, man, and I know it looked even better at home on television sets on the network, man. That entrance by Triple H was absolutely badass. But aren't they always at WrestleMania? What the fuck? Next up, we had Kurt Angle. We talk about Triple H's possible, or his career on the line, and it could have been last night, his last match, but he ended up beating Batista. And then we talk about Batista retiring afterwards. All these careers being on the line and people retiring. The very next match was Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin. This was Kurt Angle's last match, win or lose. And Corbin defeated Kurt Angle in about 7 or 8 minutes. And people were furious at this. I loved it. I did, guys. He clearly doesn't have it anymore, Kurt Angle, okay? Yet still had what I would deem a successful year plus back in action for one last run. When he just didn't have it anymore. And he's still stuck with it for the last year. So on the way out, whether you like him or not, whether he does put you to sleep or not, Baron Corbin is still one of those guys that has years left in this business. I don't even know if he's hit his prime. I know that might frustrate and make you guys cringe to hear those words, but he probably hasn't even hit his prime yet. I don't think he has. And you're talking about somebody who actually doesn't mind Baron Corbin as a heel. I think he's actually good on the mic. His skills have only improved. A lot of people just don't like this cat, and I understand. But if you're going out, Vince wanted to have that shock value, and Kurt Angle clearly doesn't have what it takes anymore. Realistically, he does not have what it takes to take on this young up-and-coming buck, as Vince McMahon deems him, in Baron Corbin. So I believe the story that's being told here. So... Baron can use this going forward. Kurt Angle's done. Baron can use this in his promos to help him collect some more heel heat. This... I don't know, man. You guys got to look at it like Baron Corbin and his character and what he can do with this. He's probably going to use this in his promos going forward. I ended Kurt Angle's, his last match. I sent him home, a loser, and this and that. Whether you think Kurt Angle deserves more respect from that or not, this is where you really have to remember, guys, this is the entertainment part of pro wrestling, and that's still a huge part of pro wrestling. Let Baron Corbin get something out of this. So, and the look on the faces of everyone in the crowd around me, man, just shocked, depressed, pissed. Baron Corbin had a look on his face like, I did it? Yes, I did it. And in the end, we got the sentimental, emotional goodbye to Kurt. He went out losing the match, but he goes out a winner to all of us. It's told beautifully. Stop it. There was nothing in there, guys, to force me to put this in a bad and especially an ugly. So it's only going one place, and that's into the good column. Hopefully Baron Corbin can use that going forward, and it was good to give our last respects and goodbye to Kurt Angle going up the rampway. And this doesn't have to be goodbye. Kurt Angle's not going anywhere. He's probably going to remain in WWE in some prominent role. We'll be seeing a lot of him. Relax. What is that? 12 in the good column. We so far have a streak going. This is like Asuka's streak. I just hope it doesn't get broken like last year at WrestleMania when Asuka's streak got broken by Charlotte, man. I guess we should be happy right now. This could have been a bad streak like Kurt Hawkins, which last night that ended as well. We won't talk about that unless this goes to a tiebreaker. But guess what? I don't think we're going to a tiebreaker, guys. This is 12 straight good. This has never before happened in the history of the good, the bad, and the ugly. I am fucking rattled right now. Honestly, I'm shocked that this is happening. We so far have an undefeated streak going on in the good column. Oh man, that's going to suck when this thing finally gets broke. But it has to be broke, right? I mean, there's no way we can continue, or can we? Who knows? Finn Balor and Bobby Lashley. Oh, fuck. Finn Balor and Bobby Lashley. The IC Championship. Way too short of a match for the IC strap for me, but we've seen these two face off so many times, so did we really need more time with them? The answer is no, that's rhetorical. And because we've seen them so many times, they were forced to bring back the Demon in a position where we didn't need to see the Demon. There were so many times in the last year and a half we wanted and needed to see the Demon because it helped the story, and they just didn't bring him back. So now in a pointless match, and I know there's a title on the line, but we've seen them flip-flop and hot potato this title so much in the past several months. We've seen these two in action so many times in the last several months together. We didn't need to see this on the grandest stage of them all. So again, they had to. They were forced to bring back the Demon in the most useless of ways. However, the short time they had wasn't their fault, and they did their best with what they had. Lashley had a badass spear through the ropes into Balor and both crashing to the outside. That was a really cool spot. Lashley let it fly in that aspect and in that opportunity of that match. Balor actually Demon Balor powerbombed Lashley at one point, and this set up an amplified coup de grace. I mean, like, Lashley was, like, in a position where he was, like, kind of facing him, and I don't know, it was like an amplified version of the coup de grace. And Demon Balor picked up the victory off of that. I don't know, guys. I have a dilemma here. I didn't like this match on paper. I didn't need to see them again. I thought it was a useless way to bring back the Demon. But when it was said and done, with the time they had, they used it correctly, man. They actually went out there. Lashley took a risk, took a chance in that spear. That was pretty badass. And you had the power bomb from Balor, and you had him do an amplified coup de grace. And man, was that enough to put that in a bad or an ugly? What do you guys think, man? Should we keep the streak alive because that was not enough to put it in the bad or ugly, or do we have to break the streak? Let me think about this, man. I mean, from what I remember, there just wasn't enough to put that in the bad or ugly. I mean, it didn't take up too much time. This was like 10 minutes at best, correct? If even? Guys, I don't know. I didn't mind the pace at all. That goes into the good, guys. Wow. 13 in a row. That's like what? Something like 11 matches in 2 special segments. 13. I'm putting that into the good, guy. We're going to the main event. What? It all comes down to this. Do we have an actual full streak? Or did this main event shit the bricks? Oh, Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. Winner takes all for the WWE Raw and SmackDown Women's Championship, your main event. Can I just say, what an awesome entrance by Charlotte Flair, flying down in a friggin' helicopter. Ronda Rousey was played down to the ring by Joan friggin' Jett. And Becky, well, she got her name in big letters on the big Titantron. Other than that, not much for Bex. But whatever, she'll have her moment to come. We'll talk about that in a second. The match itself, guys, let's just say, yes, You can say sloppy at times, but what would you expect? I told you from the beginning why I hate schmaz matches, multi-person matches, especially when it comes to championship matches. Because even when you're firing on all cylinders, you still are going to come across as sloppy a lot of the match. It's just schmaz matches. It's their nature. So, of course we knew that was going to happen, but even though it was sloppy at times, it was physical at all times. Because these ladies went out there and totally beat the shit out of each other in this match. I love this, guys. Let me find this. There was one point in this match where Charlotte was delivering several chops to Ronda, and Ronda responded with, "You chop like a bitch." Charlotte screams back, "I chop like a bitch, huh?" And Charlotte proceeds to slap the taste out of Ronda's mouth. Literally, "I chop like a bitch, huh?" Boom! Ronda just gets smacked in her mug, man. Ronda then retaliates with a badass elbow to the dome piece of Charlotte Flair. That was just one exchange in this match. Then there was another spot where Becky grabs a table, goes to powerbomb Charlotte through the table. Ronda takes out Becky, looks at the crowd and says, "Oh, you all want a table, huh? You want tables?" The crowd's all like, "Yeah." And what does she say here? She says, "Oh, you all want tables?" And then says, "Too bad. Tables are for bitches." What the fuck? I love Ronda Rousey. She literally looked at the crowd and says, "You want the table?" And then she says, "Too bad. Tables are for bitches." And then she chucks the fucking table across. I loved it, man. I never got that as a pro wrestling fan. I've been a pro wrestling fan for over 30 years now. And over the last, obviously, what you could say 15 years, easily, fans chant crazy for tables. Like they're a big deal. It's just a little bit of fucking, it's like, it's not even a big thing. You lay someone on it and it easily breaks. What's the big epic thing about tables? I'm not understanding. Maybe the commentary table, but fans flip out just to get one of those little weak-ass tables that they get from underneath the ring. I mean, if that's real wood, man, that is some of the cheapest, refined fucking to nothing table or material I've ever seen, man. I don't know, wood. I don't understand all the craziness for tables. I don't. I love when Ronda said, "Too bad, tables are for bitches." Throws that thing aside. That was awesome. And again, why we love fucking Ronda. Everything is for bitches to her. She's so hardcore. She's so non-PC. I love it. You know what I mean? She doesn't care about what she's gonna say to offend you. She's just gonna fucking say it and you deal with it. You go into the corner. You go to your safe place and deal with your feelings and your emotions. She's gonna say it anyway. I love that. Everybody thought, I already said what this match was. Sloppy at times, physical all the time. And I gave you a couple of funny moments in that match as well. But I'll go to the ending. Here is what I love. Everybody thought that Charlotte was only there to take the pin. Excuse me, I'm getting choked up, man. This has been a 17-hour review. I'm just kidding. We're probably easily over an hour by now, though. I'm getting all fucking, I'm going to need, like 14 coffees after this. I'm going to have a coffee for every fucking good that I'm putting in this column. At the end of this match, everybody thought that Charlotte Flair was there to just eat the pin, and it turns out she wasn't even a factor in the final outcome. This thing ended when Ronda was going for one of her Kerryman's finishers, and it went right into a roll-up pin. The referee immediately starts counting as if that is the planned finish, and again, like I started this video, that is the planned finish from what we're being told. The referee just starts counting, doesn't even really look at any shoulders, but Ronda Rousey at one point during the count had both her shoulders come completely off the canvas. And the ref counted anyway. There was confusion because Ronda, it almost was confusion like the Montreal screw job. I'm not comparing it because it wasn't necessarily a screw job. Nobody got screwed. But it was that confusing. The ref was like, "No, I counted." And Ronda's like, "No, what?" Like she wasn't even really arguing. It looked like somebody fucked up. But again, we're finding out that that was the planned finish. However, the botch could have definitely been Ronda's shoulders coming off the canvas. But the move was supposedly what was supposed to end the match. Again, we'll find out much more as the days come, maybe even the hours. Maybe later today we'll find out more. Who knows? But I love it if it's not a botch, or even if it was a botch. Listen, I love this because Becky still has her big moment, but when Ronda comes back, there's something there. You can continue this, right? I mean, you could continue. I mean, Ronda has something to come back to. You never actually pinned my shoulders. And Becky's like, I'll prove it once more to you that I'm better than you. I told you I'd do it once, I'll do it again. And if it was a botch, then you have to feel bad for Becky because that does diminish Becky's big moment. It does, because that was a confusion that might not have been there. Although maybe even if Ronda's shoulders were completely down, people would have been confused. People were shocked anyway that it ended like that. And we heard reports that they actually talked about Ronda submitting to Becky. That would have been an epic WrestleMania moment. But at the 11th hour, they decided not to go that route. And they had that finish. So whether Ronda's shoulders went up or not, I think a lot of us in that stadium would have been like, what? Anyway. And people at home would have been like, oh, it could have ended much better. That was a weird finish. That was confusing. That was a stupid finish. It's in the eye of the beholder. I'm not telling anyone else that they'd be wrong. It was definitely odd for the last finish of the night for WrestleMania. But listen, when it was all said and done, Becky Lynch was standing tall with both straps hoisted above her head, fireworks galore, pyro! Finally, we saw some pyro. Vince took some of that XFL money and used it on pyro. Thank you. That's all we ever asked for on your Monday Night Raw shows. Get us excited straight from the finish. Right from the finish. I'm not even making sense anymore. Right from the start. Right from the beginning, not right from the finish. I gotta end this soon. The point is, everyone got what they wanted. Becky with both titles, the victory, fireworks, closing the show. Sometimes you literally can't please anyone. He gave you what you wanted. What now, because it wasn't the exact way or it was confusing? Listen, in one night, you got Kofi Kingston overcoming the odds and becoming heavyweight champion. You had Seth Rollins, many would say overcoming the odds, becoming heavyweight champion. You had Becky Lynch, many say overcoming the odds, fighting everything in her path, to hoist up and become heavyweight champion. You got everything you could have wanted from this WrestleMania. Good matches, good wrestling, physicality, brutality, all of it. Legends, superstars, Hall of Famers coming back. Pace was beautiful the entire night. The pace felt right. Everything that was supposed to break up the matches felt right. John Cena coming back in the Thugonomics role broke up the action really beautifully. The Hall of Fame, to let all of us show our respect and introduce everybody onto the stage, that came at the right time. The placement of the championship matches were at the right time. Chill out for one fucking night. Take a step back as a fan and say, wow, what a fucking WrestleMania. There's no doubt there's nothing there to put that in the ugly or the fucking bad. I would love to give you the fucking botch was ugly, but if that was not a botch, then guess what? Then I love the story being told. Realistically, ain't nobody beating Ronda Rousey. It's not happening. Realistically. So the fact that she got her shoulders up, whether it was supposed to happen or not, the story continuing is going to be awesome. And when she comes back from that hand injury or maybe even having a kid, might take a year for Ronda to come back. But when she comes back, she now has unfinished business. So I love the story going forward. Yes, absolutely, clearly. I'm a Ronda mark, there's no question. But for me to be okay with Ronda losing that match, that tells you that I was thoroughly entertained. Of course I would have done it differently. Of course I would have tried to make it more epic, but sometimes you have to look at the overall package, man. They went out there and were physical as fuck with each other. They gave it what they had to perform for you, to entertain you, and you got what you wanted, most of you anyway, with Becky hoisting up both straps. That is a gigantic good. I have no more room, so that just goes as legitimately like a gigantic good. That is 14 goods. That is a sweep, a streak never before done in the history of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it happened at WrestleMania 35. This whole event was in its entirety good. Absolutely a good pay-per-view and a good WrestleMania. The pacing, the action, the outcomes. Man, this was, will it go down as one of the best WrestleManias in history for me? Probably not. But when I think of WrestleMania 35, I'm going to honestly think that was a good WrestleMania. What I remember from that WrestleMania is all of the champions that were crowned and all of those underdog stories that came to fruition, that culminated in the most epic of ways at WrestleMania. I'm going to remember just top to bottom, start to finish, beginning to end. Everything was good. Maybe not great, maybe not epic, but good. And in today's 2018 especially, and it leaked in, unfortunately, to 2019, today's lackluster product, today's lackluster company that WWE seems to be right now, to get a WrestleMania like that, I think I can speak for all of us. None of us were expecting that. Let me know what you guys think about WrestleMania 35 down below, guys. As far as the official Amplified Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, that's in the books. That will not be changed, no matter what anybody else's opinion or thought process is. The Amplified Man has just went over the entire card. I am stunned right now. I wasn't joking. I'm now going to Starbucks and getting 14 coffees because I'm probably losing my voice if I didn't already last night in this video. I'm stumbling and botching my own words at this point, so I'm going to get 14 coffees, one for each tally. This is amazing, man. Blank and blank. What a fucking WrestleMania. Becky Lynch hoisted 2 championships at once to end the show. Kofi Kingston defied the odds. He was hoisted up by the New Day. His family in there. Fireworks galore. And Kofi Kingston is a real... Kofi Mania. Obviously, Kofi Kingston is a real thing. He's a human. Touch him. He's real. Kofi Mania is a real thing. And that crowd was electric. And Kofi Mania hopefully is just beginning. And Seth Rollins, he kicked off this show after the immortal Hulk Hogan. And he took the strap from Brock Lesnar. Tell me you ain't gonna remember shit. My ass you ain't. That was WrestleMania 35. I'm the Amplified Man. We'll go on to Monday Night Raw. Shut up out there! I'm giving a fucking review of WrestleMania! You're gonna make noise. What the hell was I talking? Yeah, we're going on to Monday Night Raw tonight. And this is the post-Mania show. We're usually pretty fucking wild on these shows. I expect tonight to be no different. I expect to see some call-ups. Who's it gonna be? I'm expecting some things to be switched around. It could get nutty and crazy tonight, guys. We'll all be along for the ride. I'll see you tomorrow for the Raw review and reaction. For now, this has been the good, the bad, and the ugly of WrestleMania 35. He's Mitch, and I'm the Amplified Man, and we're saying, check you!